Interesting question asked this week by Francis Rose of the Boston Globe. And I thought I'd bring you Francis' story here. It's a pretty good question. Somebody was asking Rosa in a kind of a scrum they were having, what could Phil Esposito do for an encore this year after scoring 76 goals last season? And somebody said, geez, do you think he can score 100 goals? And then the conversation turned to, can anyone in the National Hockey League ever score 100 goals? Well, Rosa decided to ask a few people about this, and here's some of the answers he got. General Manager Milt Schmidt of the Bruins said, absolutely not. Nobody could do it. Johnny Busick of the Bruins said, it would be pretty tough. And Eddie Johnson, the Bruins veteran goalkeeper, said, it'll never happen. But guess who said it could happen? A fellow by the name of Bobby Orr. And Phil Esposito himself says, I don't know. Maybe someone will come along and do it. A player like Yvan Cournoyer has all the qualifications. So, of course, Rose asked, well, what about you, Phil Esposito? Hockey's first 76 goals scorer just shrugged and said, I don't think about it. But 100 goals by one man, it actually just blows your mind just to imagine it. But Bobby Orr doesn't think it's impossible. Bobby says, look at Phil. He had 76 goals last year, so another 24, and he'd have 100. Think of the goalposts he hit last year. Orr says a man would have to score at a rate of 4 goals every 3 games or something like that. And Bobby thinks that it actually could happen. The guy, of course, would need a ton of ice time, no injuries, and a whole lot of luck, but Orr thinks it's possible. Eddie Johnson said that a man would have to have a combination, be a combination of Bobby Orr and Phil Esposito, and he'd have to have Bobby Hull's shot. And Orr's shot was not that far off Bobby's, actually. Johnson said, I don't see how it could happen unless there were another wholesale expansion, say, 4 more teams. Well, EJ, stay tuned, because there's going to be more than 4 teams in a few years, and a kid named Gretzky's about 10 years away, and he will come close. Johnson went on to say, remember when expansion came in, we had 6 new teams, and sure, there had to be a gap. Now, as the gap gets smaller, it'll get harder and harder to score 50, 60, or 70 goals. EJ said that he knew Phil needed just another 24, and he thought he hit post 10 to 12 times, but he couldn't conceive of any one guy getting 100 goals. Esposito estimates that he hit the posts 11 times last season, but he said, and Phil was being brutally honest, and Phil Esposito was nothing if not brutally honest. He said the fluky goals I got sort of evened all that out. Phil said all records get broken eventually, and that's what makes sports such a great world. It's what makes it exciting. Roger Maris hit 61 homers, and the next season, the pressure gets to him. If I should score 50 goals this season, people are probably going to say that I had a bad year, that I was in a slump all year. Don't you think someday someone might hit a home runs in a season? Sure, it's like Wilt Chamberlain scoring 100 points in a game. And how many times has that been done? Since way back when Wilt did it in 1962? Espo went on to talk about this 100-goal scorer. He said that for a hockey player to score 100 goals, he'd need a team like the Bruins. They'd need a guy like Orr, wings like Cashman and Hodge, lots of ice time, no injuries, and he would have to have a big shot like Bobby Hull's. Phil said, I don't have that kind of shot, and I got 76. Imagine if a guy had Hull's shot along with the guys surrounding him like I do. Phil said that the player would need to be an accurate shooter, an extreme opportunist, and he'd need a lot of luck. It wasn't long ago that we thought 100 points was a dream, said Orr, and 100 assists? Well, Bobby Orr last season had 102 assists. One year, I set an assist record, and the next year Bobby breaks it, said Phil. And then the following year, he breaks it again, and he gets over 100. Johnson, the goalie, says assists are not the same as goals. It's easier to get 100 assists naturally when you're on the power play. You can pick up so many points. This must have been a wonderful conversation to be a witness to, because Phil Esposito then replied, look, 50 goals used to be the magic figure when Bobby Hull got 58 in 68-69. Everybody figured nobody could ever get 60. And then that wasn't impossible after all, and it went up to 70 and 75, and Esposito puts it at 76. That's the way things go, said Esposito. Esposito's attitude as the hockey season approaches is exactly right. What happened last season is in the past. He said, I'll go out, I'll play hockey. This is a new season. The goals, he figures, will take care of himself, and he won't even dream about scoring 100 goals. Thanks to Francis Rosa of the Boston Globe for that fine look at a question that will finally maybe get answered, maybe not. It'll take a long time to score 100, if ever.